Welcome to the Youngpreneur podcast, a show for young and aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start or scale their own business. Our podcast is dedicated to helping young people find a community and resources to start and grow their businesses. Hosted by Charlotte Enever and Linda Reed Enever, our passion is seeing the future of business grow.
Hey, welcome to the Youngpreneur Society podcast. I'm your host, Charlotte Enever, and joining me today is Tim Phillips. Tim, would you like to give us a little introduction to yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tim. I run a small engineering consultancy out of the back room of my house because I'm a startup and can't afford the rent.
Fair enough. I'm in the lounge room right now, so me too. So what inspired you to start your engineering consultancy?
So I think I saw a gap in the market, to be honest, a option for high quality service but with low overheads so that you don't have to pay the exorbitant prices that you probably will pay going somewhere else. I don't have a fancy coffee machine, though I do one day aim to. Mine are life goals.
That's a really good goal as well, yeah. We've got a kettle, and that seems to work pretty well.
Realistically, isn't that where every small business starts? Who has
Hopefully.
startup capital to have personalized stationery and
I know
offices?
some people go to banks and stuff, but that seems like a hard process.
Oh, I tried, but they didn't want to give me anything. I did look at the shared working spaces, but again, I have actually met, there's quite a few people in a similar boat to me around Brisbane, engineers who work out of their garage, back shed, back room, and quite a lot of the quality is very good. I don't think because you're working out of your house is necessarily indicative of your quality in any way.
Yeah, and it's also important to realize that it's whatever works for the person that's actually running it.
That's true. I don't have to commute very far, which means I get to spend more time with my family.
That leads me to our next question. How do you create a work-life balance that allows you to spend time with your family?
That's very difficult, to be honest, because sometimes there's peaks and troughs in your workload, and I'll be working late or I'll be working weekends. And then there's other times, like in March, where everyone seems to be on holidays and there's nothing that needs to be done. So you try and make the most of it then. But I've been given instructions to be home as far as possible at 5:30 every night for dinner. And if I don't, I get in trouble. I try to do afternoon bike rides or morning bike rides or a walk and a coffee. And ideally, if I could put on some more people to help take off some of the workload, then it could be more of a sort of 38, 40-hour week job.
I feel like when you're in that startup process, it's definitely work for a really long time and then maybe figure it out.
Yeah, that's right.
What sets your business apart from other engineering consultancies?
I work with a very small number of people at this stage, and I quite like the personalized service rather than having a long client list. And the benefit of that is that you get to know your client's individual needs and you could meet them a little bit more than, I hope a lot more. I hope I meet my clients' needs a lot more than, say, a large impersonal consultancy in the CBD.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're building that connection. And when you do have the time to focus on it, it's great. What are your ambitions for your business moving forward, other than a coffee machine, of course?
Well, apart from a coffee machine, I would like to put on intermediate level engineer and work more with some university students trying to get their time because I struggled to get. So an engineer has to perform 60 days work experience. Of those, 30 have to be under a registered professional engineer in Queensland. And I struggled to get my days not under an RPEQ because there just seems to be so few spaces for young engineers who want to get their supervised work experience when there seems to be, supply and demand. Not enough supply, a lot of demand. And I struggled, so I would try and avoid that for someone else.
That's a really good one.
Thank you.
How did you decide that engineering was the right path for you?
Actually, medicine is the family business, but I faint at the sight of blood. So that was just not going to be a success for me. I quite like taking things apart and seeing how they work. So if I couldn't do medicine, much to my father's sadness, I think, then engineering was a good choice.
That sounds like a great one. And it seems pretty profitable from what I hear. I have a couple of friends that want to go into engineering. I don't understand anything about it, but it seems great.
It's interesting because it's a pure representation of how the world works. There's no subjectivity, I think you'd say. It's objective. You can't argue with gravity because it's always there. And if you do it wrong, you will find out very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. You were recently a finalist for the Brisbane Young Entrepreneurs Awards. How important is that kind of recognition in your industry?
Yeah, I think it's very important because it's not something a lot of engineers get. Engineers usually work in the dark in a back room somewhere where other people with more of a talent for marketing and self-promotion get the limelight. So it was quite nice to be out of my normal habitat. But I think a lot of recognition in the engineering industry is very niche to that particular area. So it's nice to get out and see other industries. And to be honest, it was very inspiring to see a lot of other finalists in the Young Professionals Awards because they've done some amazing things with their businesses, really starting from nothing and going to multi-million dollar businesses that employ scores of people.
Yeah, and it's good to be around people that have gone down the same path that you want to as well, to kind of learn. They've already done it for you.
Absolutely. They've done it for you, and you can just see what's possible. Like
Yeah.
you just wouldn't realize that starting by yourself with nothing and going to, I think, now the guy sitting next to me was a property developer. He and his father came out from France and he won. I forget his name and it's terrible. But they started with nothing in Australia. And he didn't say their annual turnover, but I believe it's actually in the hundreds of millions of dollars a year
Okay, that's
from
a
nothing.
lot. Let's see if I can find who won. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even know that that kind of stuff is possible because I don't actually consider that as a possibility until you've been shown that world.
Yeah, it's true. You just see the big companies and you think they've been big companies forever. Having said that, I have no desire to go that big. It's just too much, I think.
Yeah, and definitely with different working styles. If you do want to do like work from home situations or that big corporate office that tends to scare a lot of people, then you can.
Yeah, true. But he also says he made a lot of sacrifices and his father made a lot of sacrifices. And I believe that. I have a young son and a partner I love very much. So I actually like spending time with them as well.
Yeah, it seems like a good option. What challenges have you overcome in your business so far?
I started around just before COVID, really, with my primary client on the other side of the Queensland New South Wales border. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't go and do that work anymore. And I was working with a former colleague. We were doing some site inspection and testing. So all of a sudden, I had no work. He had no work. And now we're saying, now what? He went and became an employee, casual employee at a different engineering firm. So he's happy, but we adapted and survived.
That's great. I feel like nowadays, when stuff like COVID can just come back or new things can appear, it's really good to be adaptable.
Yeah.
How do you manage mishaps like that in your business?
I don't think anyone saw that one coming. So there are definitely the black swan events that you just can't expect. But in general, mishaps in our engineering industry involve someone dying or something collapsing. So those ones you really just can't allow to happen. And you do that through accepted engineering practices and double and triple checking your work and review from other engineers. But apart from your sort of standard engineering practice, black swans like COVID, I'm just going to have to deal with that when that comes.
That's really good, especially since it does just happen. But also, when you start young, you do have a lot of time to learn to just accept it and roll with it, I guess.
No, that's true. When I started, I was single. I didn't have a child. So I didn't have the responsibilities of looking after those. Like, I imagine it would be very much harder for someone with a family and a mortgage to start a business with very uncertain cash flow.
Yeah.
So I guess I was lucky when I started, to be honest.
Yeah, and stuff like that always works out. As much as it seems like it never does, it always does. It has to, because life
I
has to
hope
keep
so.
on going. What is the most surprising thing you have experienced in your business?
I guess I'd say how easy it is to start a business. So when I started, register your company online, PTY Ltd, $495 and an overnight approval. That was easy. But after that is when the administration just gets hard. Quarterly tax, annual tax, payroll. I pay my interns because I just think it's the right thing to do. Though technically on an internship, you don't have to because engineers have to get their 60 days under a professional. But it's actually very difficult to onboard someone and pay them, which is very surprising. My partner looks after that side of the business now, which I'm very grateful for because it gives me a lot more time to focus on the engineering.
Yeah, that's great. Because I found it hard. I work at Macca's, and even in the onboarding process there, it's definitely not perfect. So I think something important to remember that I've been trying to remember is it doesn't have to be perfect. Like all the processes, they don't have to be because, I don't know any different.
No, that's 100% right. You've got to start somewhere. We were talking about it before. You can't just go from nothing to world class overnight. Show me a person who's done that. Actually, show me a person who's done that because I'd like to copy them.
Yeah, that's great. Without having really rich parents.
Yeah. No, I don't have those either.
I do know, I think somebody from where my mum grew up, her dad happened to have a lot of money. So he opened her own ice cream cafe thing. And that bugs me sometimes. So I'm like, I just want
Ice
my
cream
own ice cream
cafe.
cafe. Yeah.
No, I forget the quote, but it's something like happiness is found in the journey, not in the destination.
Yeah.
And I've quite enjoyed the process, to be honest.
And I think you should, because then that means this is definitely the right path. And also, it's just an experience to learn. Everything's all about experiencing things.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So much to experience. But in business, you get different things.
I guess, though, in business, you don't have the opportunity so much to learn from bad experiences. Don't get me wrong, I try and do it all by the book, obviously. But if you get your tax wrong, I suspect the ATO is not particularly forgiving of that. And like I said, in engineering, if you do it wrong, you can cause a lot of damage. So I've been practicing since 2011. So it's also not something you can just, unfortunately, engineering is like that in Queensland, particularly. You can't just start your own business straight out of uni because we have some rules about how long you can practice under a registered professional engineer before you yourself can become. It's like an apprenticeship after uni. So in theory, in that time, you learn how to do things right.
Well, hopefully you're tested on it. I mean, I just did my final exams for the year, so hopefully, yeah.
And how did you go?
I have no clue. Technically, I'm doing university subjects. So instead of like year 10 and year 11 and year 12, and they don't really get back to you for the next 2 months.
No, that's true. And then usually everyone's sitting around hitting refresh on their internet portal for the results, just waiting to see what they
I just
get.
want to know if I accidentally plagiarized anyone.
I think you'll be fine. With plagiarism, you know if you're doing it.
Yeah, it was a no reference exam. So it was just like you answered the case study questions for psychology. And I just don't want to plagiarize anybody. I didn't research or anything. I was just sitting there typing stuff out. But you never know. With Turnitin, it can just say anything.
Yeah, those are quite interesting. The plagiarism check is in the age of AI. So we'll see how that goes. I've heard some interesting stories about false positives and false negatives where people say, I wrote my own, but somehow it thinks it's an AI.
Oh, half the time on mine, it'll say that the either my name or the questions are plagiarized.
Nice. Thank you, software engineer, for that.
Yeah, love it so much. I haven't been got like, I don't actually use spell check or anything. I just hope that I said everything right. But I haven't been got for AI use or anything yet. Yeah,
No,
it's
that's
really
good.
important to check your references. Yeah, especially in business, because if you start going out and making all of these new things and then you don't reference something to like back it up, I'm pretty sure like the ATO doesn't like you then either.
No,
Do you have any advice for our listeners about starting a business?
just do it. Like I said, I mean, $495 isn't nothing. And don't quote me on that figure. Don't be like, it's 500 because, and Tim said 495. Inflation, right? It's been 5
Yeah.
years since I started. At the end of the day, it's not a huge sum of money. And the upsides are very much larger than the downsides. Just try it. I actually started two businesses. One was selling red high visibility workwear, your high vis shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a client and they were wearing red high vis. And I thought, damn, that's a nice red high vis. I've got to get some, have to get some. Went to all the local workwear shops, tried eBay, Amazon, whoever else online, and I couldn't get a red high vis shirt. Turns out the only importer into Australia had gone bust during COVID. The only way I was going to get my high vis shirt was by buying 100 of them from China. China made me 100. I didn't need 100. So I started to sell some of them. Turns out I think I'm the only person in Australia who actually likes red high vis shirts.
I don't work anywhere that I'd need high vis, but my favorite color is red, so that would just be amazing.
I know, right?
I love anything red. It's such a powerful color, and especially it will probably stand out in high vis more than all the other colors.
I was talking to someone in traffic control, and they don't wear, or not everyone, it's not uniform. They don't like orange because some people like hitting the orange traffic cones with their car.
Oh,
And apparently, some people have tried to run down workers in orange. And I'm just not sure if this could be a true story because there's a big difference between a traffic cone and a person.
there's a height difference as well. It's like the
Yeah,
high vis would
like,
be really high up. Yeah.
and you just don't look the same. So anyway, I thought red would be great in that application, but it turns out no.
They could be hitting like the yellow people, like the cardboard cutouts. Because there's so many roadworks around here and they all have orange high vis on them.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
would have thought yellow would mix it up. If you're wearing yellow high vis, they would mix it up with the yellow people and then they just go and hit someone.
So what you're saying is everyone should wear red high vis shirts?
Yeah,
I'm down with
100%.
that. You don't have to sell me on it.
Or pink. There's pink as well. Those are my two favorite high vis colors. I don't know
Yeah,
why I have an
that,
opinion on this.
that figures. But the point about that story is that business didn't really do very well and I deregistered it.
Fair enough.
So one success and one fail.
And with that kind of stuff, I know for people that start out, if you don't know that somebody's actually going to like it before you go and do that whole big thing, you can go on Facebook Marketplace. And I think that's a really good way to test the market because every time I come out with something new or I stop selling things for a while and come back, it's like Facebook people can have this first because if you guys don't like it, I'm a little screwed.
Yeah, I think testing the market is a very good lesson there. Just
Yes.
because I liked it doesn't mean it was going to be a commercial success.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. I remember in school, we had to do this thing where you'd come up with a few ideas and they had to be like really outlandish business ideas. And my idea, which I thought was absolutely amazing, was like this robot and then it would just make whatever food you wanted on the spot. And apparently it was like way too expensive and nobody thought that was realistic. But the teacher told us to do something unrealistic. So anyway, that one didn't
Well,
go through.
we'll see about that. I think Elon Musk is working on a robot companion helper at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't
you
there
know
one of
what?
the Kardashians that had that?
I didn't know that, but I wouldn't bet against Elon Musk.
Yeah. I think I'm going to not claim that food robot idea first and just let him run with it.
Seems fair.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Charlotte. It was great.
I would like to thank Tim Phillips for joining me today on this episode of the Youngpreneur Society podcast. I'm sure our listeners have taken away lots of insight and lessons from you. I would also like to thank our listeners for supporting the podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. Like this episode? Remember to subscribe and leave us a review. And join us in the Youngpreneur Society, a community for young entrepreneurs to explore the world of business. youngpreneursociety.com